Okay, guys, good afternoon or good midday. Just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear, and we'll get up and running. Okay, looks like people are still slowly coming in, so g'day, Paul. You can hear me good? I've got your email too. I'll take a look at a few of those too, by the way. And I know if Ryan, g'day, buddy. Right, sounds good. Let's get going then. Welcome to Trade Setup. Welcome to the live stream. What date is it? The 15th of March. So a bit of a knocked on the head a bit today. I didn't quite expect. I thought it'd be roughly, down 5 points or so, or pretty much break even on the open for the ASX. But then we was holding that for a while, and then just obviously cracked some support and triggered a few, I guessing, sell orders, some stops triggered off on the ASX, probably a wave of selling, sorry, which has just pushed it down about 20 points or so. I think we're hanging down there at the moment. We'll take a look at the charts in a minute to see what's going on. I don't think anything's changed really longer term what we've been looking at in the past. It's only been a week since we did this stream, wasn't it? Missed out on Monday, so I had a good time on Monday actually. Bit relaxed. We had if anyone doesn't know, I'm a Kiwi. I was born in New Zealand, but I moved over here when I was about 4, so we had our 40-year anniversary, I guess, of being over in Australia. So if you can work it out, I'm 44 at the moment. If your maths is good. So we had our on Sunday night, which was nice, quite relaxing. And then Monday was really just taking it easy. We had a public holiday in Melbourne, so we're back, Paul. Cheeky email, by the way, mate. Anyone that's new, or it's listening to us later on that's new for the first time, I know we might have a couple in there been speaking to. Welcome to Trade Setup. Now we'll do these streams on Mondays and Thursdays at 12:30. That's Melbourne time, so it's daylight savings still at the moment. Yeah, so Mondays and Thursdays. Feel free to talk about anything you want. The general, I guess, format of the stream is talking about the markets, giving my overview of what's happening, potentially where we could be heading, what potentially to look out for, and then just opening it up to looking at different stocks. You can also look at currencies. Anyone that's a bit of a currency trader, or if I can get a chart of it, even what do you call them, cryptos, which are getting caned a bit at the moment. We'll have to look at it if I can look at a chart. So feel free. We did a bit of FX work occasionally, not as much as obviously the shares. That seems to be the main focus. Yeah, we'll open up to anything. Also, join us on Twitter, the top left-hand corner, top right is Facebook, and bottom right-hand corner, subscribe to us at YouTube. That way, anytime we go live, you'll get something pop up there. You'll get a pop-up from YouTube as well. Let's nick that off. Let's have a look at where we're at the moment. Yes, up down 24. We seems to be holding up at the moment. I'll take a look at the S&P. Just go through the charts a bit. So it looks like it's just popped its head through. We're on a weekly, daily. Is that the latest, or was that? See, that's not the latest. I don't know why these charts are so slow. Just on the, excuse me, the hiccups. Just on the US. So it's actually pushed down a bit lower than that. I think it's down another, well, I'll say that 40 something, 45. So it's trading, not much lower than that. Awesome. Looks like we're just dropping out. All right, I forgot to change just one thing. There we go. That should be better. See the right-hand side of the chart. Yeah, so the S&P, as you can see, it's just pushed through those previous highs. So really, it's now whether we build another high low. It's still, the MAs are starting to tick up. I mean, it probably is getting a bit overcooked here. And of course, they've got a few issues over in the US. Every time Trump does something, he causes a bit of a market sell-off. Yeah, he seems to be sacking people left, right, and centre. I don't know if that's usual. I don't really follow politics until, especially in the US. I don't follow it in general, to be honest. If it affects the markets, I'll read about it. I don't know if anyone knows if it's sort of the usual thing that few people are getting sacked or they're stepping down. So it's not a good sign either way. And the way the markets are at the moment, that with the trade war, the few negativity, a bit of negative news that's coming out. Um, it's not good for the markets over there. We still got, obviously, I think that's less of a concern at the moment. Everyone was looking at 4 interest rate rises. Pretty much three retail sales figures came out last night, which didn't quite hit the mark, and they've been, I think, negative, have been lower than expected for the last few months. So that's not inflationary. There's no reason to warrant a fourth rate rise potentially. So I think the concerns of that are easing off. You can see the US bond yields. So inverse to the actual bonds themselves, bonds are ticking up, yields are going down from that 3% level. I think they're 2.8654, somewhere around there, on US bond yields as of last night. So they got sold off a bit last night. So I think they're really getting ahead of themselves, factoring 4 rate rises this year. Uh, Pretty much they're looking towards three. So that's supportive. That should be supportive of the market, obviously. The trade war is a big concern too. Keep getting the bloody trade war. Well, if that news keeps filtering through, there's things with China now that the US wants them to, what is it, the deficit, reduce the deficit by, what is it, 100 billion? I think 100 billion or US or 60 billion, maybe somewhere around there. So that probably going to get repercussions in the US. There's going to be repercussions across the board if they keep banging on about this sort of stuff, which is going to keep the negative, I think, the US contained a bit, or probably biased towards the negative side as people just look to longer term gains or lock it in. It could trigger a bid sell off. You don't know. At the moment, the way it's just ticked through this high could be a bit of a washout. There could be a minor double top, which is a bit of emphasis to the low side to a good longer term push down. Go to a weekly, it's still just reversion to the mean type of trade with this big sell-off. It's been grinding higher. We might have to. I still expect a bit of chop in the US, and you can see it in our market too. It's sort of choppy. It starts to kick up, and then you get this sell-off in the US. Whatever happens is news-driven, but it's still that tentative trading that's out there at the moment, which you do expect. So it might take a while to filter through. So that's the weekly. Look at the Dow on the weekly. Same sort of price action. It's been sold down a bit harder, and that might be the right day, 14th. So that's up to date, I think. So that's looking more contraction. So you're getting lower highs, but you're getting these high lows. So we'll see if we can squeeze out another high low just in here. And then that might be a bad sign for a tick high and to start attacking those all-time highs again. But again, we'll see. It could also move down if it starts taking out 24,250 on the downside. This high low just in here, you can see. If it starts taking out then I would expect it to start attacking these lows, potentially driving through and having a deeper correction, like a really deep correction. You got from that high to low, measure that out from basically here, 25,750 to take you somewhere around, give or take 22.5 maybe. So this could easily extend down there. There's nothing, we're not out of the woods just yet. There's no reason to load your boat at the moment. Just quickly looking at the FTSE, the same sort of thing. Looking at the weeklies, we're getting extended down here on the weekly, and the daily is just sort of rolling over again. So we could take out these lows, hold around that 7,000 or above 7,000. We're at 71.32 at the moment. Hold above there and start to build, and continuation of that trend higher. Or this is looking more conducive, that big sell-off, popping up, building a lower high, and having a deeper correction, just to clear out a few of these buys, that were late into the trend, especially around here, sort of above that 7,000 mark, really squeeze them back out of the market. That's the FTSE. The DAX, they've got, obviously FTSE's still got issues with Brexit and what they're going to do there, so that's probably keeping them contained. Here we got the DAX. It's that 12,000 mark. You can see that support down there. It's touched down there. Did bounce off there last week, but it's gapped down and it's still holding that lower high. So that's suggesting to me that if that's just a retest of the lows on the weekly, if we build a higher low, great. Okay, then we could be working our way back up again. But if we don't, what you don't want to see is it push down, it bounce quite hard, because if it bounces hard, somewhere towards 12,750, 13, bounces up there, you'd expect a major lower high and that to take out these lows at support. But at the moment, it's sort of bouncing around down at these lows, which is not too bad a sign. If we can hold an inside high low here and just start to drag in some more buying. Otherwise, we're going to straight through that support and squeeze out these long positions that built up through here, especially above 12,000, squeeze them out with a deeper correction. Lastly, we'll just take a look at the XJO. I mean, that still, for me, I'm expecting chop. But if this, just looking at it now, let's draw it up. I'll get it onto a bigger chart. What's everyone's views on the XJO at the moment? ASX. We're still, so you've still got this trend up. I guess you can take it somewhere around there. It's still holding that trend. It could easily contract down to 59.50 and then bang straight back up and still hold above these lows. I think we really have to hold above that low at 58. I mean, if you take it across the lows, across here, we could actually have further to move. So we can take out this low, but we've got to hold key support. If I just go back, take a step back, I like to be precise, like through here. That means we could still come down. That's our key anchor level to this latest move up. So what we're doing is just clearing out a lot of these movers, a lot of these late buys the last few weeks or last few months, end of last year into the start of this year, cleared them out. We may have, look, we've contracted over 50% of that move up with this push down. So that's already cleared out a lot. And we might just be, looking at chop. So it's really just going down. I think you've got another key level at 58. If that gets taken out, I think it's going to take a lot of work to continue this trend higher. I would prefer it to be holding up around 58.50 to 59, say 100-point range between 58.50, 59.50, for example. If we can hold up in there, even if we take out this low, it's sort of this low that's key. We can take out that and then start to build. It doesn't matter. We are holding lower highs, which is a key at the moment. This is your key sort of low to be worried at 5,800. But like I said on the weekly, we could go through that and then bounce straight back up and still hold the weekly trend. But that's just going to cause a bit more havoc, I would suspect. If we take this low out, I'm sort of not gearing up, but just watching these lows. We're approaching that now. It should find some support. Maybe find a bit of a reaction off there. But if we then hold another lower high, look, we could easily break through it. We could extend through it. Then I'd like to see a higher low compared to the 58 hold. Okay, and I think just because of this move down, that was quite a good move. And same with the US, we haven't been going up the same as the US, which we all know we're struggling. Haven't been going up the same, so they need a lot more heat to come out of the market. They've been hitting all-time highs for a while. We're nowhere near ours still, 68 thereabouts. We're nowhere near ours. We've been struggling just to grind higher. Interest rates, we're not going to be raising interest rates, so that's not a headwind for our market down the track, whereas that probably would be over in the US. So I'm just assuming that's putting all that together. I'm sort of biased towards it holding above that 58 zone. I mean, only time will tell. Obviously, we have to just take it as it comes. But I'm expecting more chop, so I'm just expecting this whippy price action. And we've seen that on a few of we've had some alerts that we've been stopped out of recently. We missed a profit target by a few cents and it's turned around and reversed on us. So this sort of thing, people are not holding on to gains that long. They're not prepared to just hold on and just see it move up, because a lot of these things are going, they're looking good, they're sitting on profits, and then they're pulling right back on them. When the market, some more news comes out in the US, we get sold off in the open, everyone runs for cover on the open, and they get bought back up again. Your typical scenario, sell on the open, buy on the close. But that's what I'm sort of seeing happen in our market. I'm still edging towards that choppy price action. Whether it takes out that, it doesn't really matter. I just think we're going to contract. Price is going to contract after these big washout in the downside. I think it will. So I'm just reading the comments now. Range trade this year rather than any significant changes to higher or lower levels. Yep. Very various 2 days up and heavy selling down. No doubt who's in control. Yeah, it is. I mean, you get that good strong move up. It's just been equally moved down. 3 candles down, 3 candles up. Here we had some good buying back up. Heavy selling, bang, tried to bounce. It's just struggling. Every time it's going to sit, that wasn't really overbought. That was that. It didn't get anywhere there. So we could see it's hovering around that oversold level. We'll just have to see where it falls short. What's going to happen? Where are we going to put in some lows? Where buyers are happy to start stepping into the market? Yeah, no, that's true. 10 stocks, one of the major sectors will need to outperform for it to jump. Yeah, it is obviously heavily influenced by the top, 10 to 20 stocks, or the top 10 to 20%, which is clear. Then if they're heading down, it doesn't matter. There's not opportunity, but I think the problem is, even though there's not an opportunity, even though there is opportunity, it's like I said before, they can be capped. There's no doubt what emotions still run. When markets heading south in the US, we're not looking good. We're going to open weak. Emotions still control people's decisions. It's not so much just your stock picking. People go, oh, I'm sitting on a profit, 10%. No reason to get out. There may be no reason at all to get out of stocks, but they'll still jump. They'll still bail just to lock in profit. So it's still a bit of an emotional market. It doesn't mean that there's not opportunity you can ride, but you just got to be wary that, taking profits when you get an opportunity. In saying that, we've only got a couple. What do we got at the moment? If I can get that APT, which is pretty much come right back down today to where we got in. Actually got a bit lower than that. So we're slightly up at the moment. Didn't like how it was approaching. It was getting overcooked up here, approaching these highs at $8. Probably needs to wash out a few of these late buys just in this trend. But if we can put in another higher low and hold this trend up, I just want to see if it can start approaching back up towards 8 and blow through that level. Now, if it gets up there, if we do hold a higher low on this one and start to press higher again, then great. If we start seeing some selling coming in before 8 and it starts to struggle, even on the intraday basis, I'm happy to probably take that and run. Because if we do get a lower high, it's probably going to start attacking some of these high lows on the way out and start having a deeper correction, more of a macro correction than just continuing that pattern higher. What else we got? Resolute. Don't mind that so much. If we can hold up here and start pushing through that 22, 23 mark back towards 24, I think that'll be on its way up. But again, time will tell. PPH, looking for a partial on that one at 402. Just want to see. I mean, if we can get that, great. Want to see it just pop up towards those highs, and even may take it off. Where the market is around 399, 398, $4. Just 1 second there, guys. Just be one tick. Sorry, that's my little girl wanting to drink. She always likes to come and have a chat. So yeah, this one I'm happy to take it. See, it's overcooked. Also, it's getting stretched up here. It's really overbought, and it's approaching a serious resistance level. So I think it's prudent to take some off there. I mean, it could just bang around there and just blast through. Who knows? But considering the current market, and look at that volume too. Good volume yesterday. Current market, I would be happy just to take a profit, take a partial, even if it blows through. I mean, so be it. The weekly is still looking good. It's turned up on the stochastic, so it's still could have a long way. I mean, it could easily blast through there. Looking at the weekly, it could easily continue on, but I think we're going to get some sort of reaction off there. That's PPH, SMI. Look, it's just that didn't like that candle yesterday, which is a bit of a bug. I was going for a partial up towards 820. Might even just take some off, and we just have to reassess that as we go. We've got our risk is just below $7. Can't quite remember where. Where's that? 690. Yeah, so it's just below this. I mean, if we get done on that, then so be it. It's over. And I think if we do get done on that, considering what's happening here, that's some serious weakness into the market. Yeah, so that's it for us. I mean, some still good little stocks to look at there. There's still some things moving. I was going to look at I didn't mind that. I was hoping it wouldn't approach this low. This is STO. Hoping it wouldn't approach this low because it looks like it's going to go through there. Even though it's a positive day today, it could easily push through that low, take it out. It is extended. You can see on the downside into those lows on Santos. It's more the weekly that I like, but it hasn't really set up. You can see the weekly is a good one if I can get that up. You can see, you've got that level through here at $5. It's traded off this, it hit the low, pushed down, popped up, lower high, worked its way down, fell short of the previous low. We have to go back, fell short just in here of this previous low around, say, the 250 mark. And it's worked its way up and took out this last key level, or your lower high. So it pushed up through, and now we're contracting off, but you can see that it got overbought when it got up there. When it had to push through it, it took a lot of energy to push up through there. But the selling pressure's been quite heavy. You can see it's come all the way down, back down to sort of the oversold mark, and it's holding up around 5. Nice little sign, especially on the weekly. It may take a lot of time to play out, But I've still got my eye on this. I mean, it could contract through, it could take out these lows. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's just starting to look good. On the weekly is the main thing, but the dailies, I'm not really seeing anything on the daily. It's still got to break up and then build your higher low and then go again, which it could do in the next few weeks. But I think it's one just to keep an eye on. You never know what's going to happen with the oil stocks. I think what's happening at the moment, it's hovering around that 60 mark because we know OPEC have reduced output. The thing is, you also get shale keeps coming online. I mean, they're pumping more and more shale out at this, just taking the opportunity to start pumping it more. Maybe as their costs go down, but the price of it makes it more economical at the current prices. I mean, if the oil tips over, less economical for them, they might back off a bit. So we'll just have to see. So that's why I think constrained to the downside, where if that's the case with oil, being constrained to the downside might meaning shale they stop producing some if it goes down because it's not economical anymore. But if it goes up, then they keep producing. So that in itself could actually contain it a bit. So I'm going to get a call through in a minute. So let me just mute a few things. Does that make sense anyway? If I'm talking rubbish, I don't know. But I just want to keep an eye on some of these oil stocks. Who knows what's going to happen? It could take a long time to play out. 5G, we keep an eye on it. It's approached this level at 80, just pop through it. It's off a nice little base through 55. It's not a big one, obviously not a very big one at all. It's had a good little run up. I would like to see that pull back to the MAs, bit of reversion, maybe 70 thereabouts, and start building that high low. Might again take a bit of time to play out. It's only been going for a little while. What's that? I think that's everything, isn't it? Oh God, come on, go back. November last year, so it hasn't been on very long. Yeah, I think that one's got potential. Got a bit overcooked just to get through that level, that 80 cent level. But if we can pull back, build a high low, and get that's you would assume because they get pumped out pretty well. That should drag in a few buys. But we'll see how that goes. What else we got? AGY. That's another one. It's just ticking off. It's starting to hold some high lows, and you can see it's contracted lower with lower lows. Sorry, lower highs, lower lows, and now it's starting to hold some higher lows. But it's still just got through today this recent lower high. So it's starting to come out the other side. May get a bit of chop like this. You can see, I'll draw that up. I've got my eye on, let me just draw that up properly. No, let's just do that. There's a few things on this one. I think it's got a bit more work to do. You're sort of taking it through. It's time too. You've got this sort of time through here. It's been a couple of months. Now, if we take it from the high, take a couple of months, it's probably, if that's the case, it could be another week or so. Week or two before it starts holding, but it looks like we're in this type of price action at the moment. And this is what I like, this type of price action, what we did before we started pumping higher. We may be going through that now. And that's just, it's just slowly taking out these little highs, not far, pulling back. It's just bringing in more buyers, but it's starting to hold the higher lows, and then sooner or later it starts to get on with it. And you can see it starts accelerating. If we can get that, I think it's getting up where it is on the stochastics. It's getting to that overbought territory. So just when it pumped out that, pushed out that lower high, the key one's probably more up here. Look, maybe. I mean, it could do that. It could push up here, pull back. We want a deeper correction. And if it starts holding a more major back to this zone, so around 32, and a more major higher low, then it may start to be a bit of a move on. But we'll see. It could look good soon. But I think that's definitely on the weekly charts. We're on the weekly. It's looking good. It has been quite strong. So actually, the weekly, this is another thing that just to take note of. You've had this little minor move up, pull back, good acceleration higher, good pullback, say 40 to 50% retracement there. Another good acceleration higher. So we're probably asking, maybe we're asking too much of the stock. Who knows? But it is. You can see this move back. It's come down to sort of the oversold territory. Yet it couldn't make it down to 20. So it is finding some buying still. But are we asking too much for another third leg up to take out those highs and just push through the highs and really start kicking on? Who knows? Again, only time will tell. All right. Now I'll start chucking in some stocks if you want, guys. Or even some currencies. The ASX. Let's just see what the intraday is doing on the XJA. worth taking a bit of a look at. So you can see the pressure's on there, isn't it? It's opened down, sort of went sideways, gapped down on the open, bounced back up, got a bit choppy. It's this good reaction higher which could be seeing the market contain or getting to a level where we're approaching these lows to around 59, and we've had this good reaction lower. We started to grind our way back up, coming back in. So we either bang straight through it or we start holding up. This is on the ASX anyway, the XJ. But we'll see. It's got a key level sort of this is on the 30-minute chart or intraday up at 59.37. So it really has to take that out to change anyone's mind, and then potentially, like this, pop up and pull back and build a higher low. But at the moment, it could just go through, pop back up, build a lower high, and then straight through 58.90 or 59. But yeah, today, it's a bit choppy today, which you probably would expect. I didn't expect it, to be honest, to wash out the lows. I think it was just taking out the lows from yesterday. Little pop down, pushed them out. All right. So SFH. Now we've got, who was it? NST. No worries, Ryan. Yeah, will do. There was a couple. Let me just find out. I did say. That's trade alerts. Oh, that's not it. Just trying to find them. Zeng, if you're on, just type them into the. You might be working. I just got to find it from the Discord. Well, there we might. All right. NTC and Galaxy. Let me just write those down before I forget. All right, we'll start with those two. Let's get rid of that. Move my coffee before I make a mess. So that's was a Netcom wireless. It's not a big one either. Yeah, it's potentially in a zone. I'm not too keen on it. It's had a good, had this good run up, and it spent a lot of time, 2 years actually, backing off from those highs. So look, sooner or later you'd find it will need to build a high low, but I don't think it's quite out of the woods just yet. It's probably only just this recent price action to end of Feb, but I just don't like that sort of whippy price action. I would like, you got these big swings on it. I'm just going to go back to the weekly, sorry. So the weekly, you're coming down to sort of that zone. I mean, if you can see, it backed off from that 80-cent mark, backed off here, pushed through it, and then obviously ended up all the way up, back up to 370. And we've been backing off since, all the way back down. And we come down to that dollar mark, dollar even. It might just be the whole number that could hold it up. People are willing to step in above a dollar or around that dollar zone. It has reacted. You can see it was quite a good reaction just recently off that zone. The trend is still down. It's still holding. Your key level is still up at 2. This is not from a weekly anyway, so your key resistance zone is at 2 on that weekly. So for me, if I was going to take a long just in here somewhere off the daily, it'd have to be off the daily. I'd feel you'd be up against it a bit. The weekly's still down. I don't think the weekly's got a lot before it potentially starts building and heading higher. Does that make sense? So the weekly's not in your favor. If you go back to the daily could be, what for me anyway. So that's your $2 mark. So that's your key weekly zone. We backed off from there, took out a level, and we found that sort of around that dollar zone. We popped up, retested it down here, and we've pushed back up. But don't forget this type of price action. Just because we've taken out this level, if the market, I'd be a lot more positive if the weekly was heading higher and we were looking at a pullback. So what we're always looking at for the weekly's gone up, it's correcting. You've got the complex correction. We're trying to take it out the other side of a complex correction from the daily and start to look for the next major weekly leg up. Okay, we've spoken about this a few times, I guess. I'm always looking for that. So if this price action was happening after a good weekly correction, complex correction, and we're starting to come out the other side. This is starting to come out the other side, all right? As it popped up through dollar 40. If we can contract around here, just we've pushed up, we just start doing a bit of this. Oh, that's not really exactly right. A bit of this sort of price action, then great. Then I'd be up for that. I think it'd be a good little buy. We're contracting and start attacking this high, pushing up through at $2. That's if the market was, if your weekly was pointing up and the trend was up on the weekly, and we're pulling back to the mean, reversion to the mean on the weekly, and we're looking for that entry on the daily. But at the moment, the weekly's still going down. So this could be more of a contraction of that leg lower. So we don't know where it could fall short. I mean, we could have a little trade in here. It could be a one-to-one trade. It might not even be one-to-one. So it's something just to think about, that we haven't built a solid base on the weekly just yet. And that's your key resistance zone. So if we're just contracting this leg lower and it's got some more downside, or potentially it's going to contract, build a lower high in the weekly and go down and just retest that $5 or $10, that zone, then start to build from there. I'd prefer to see that. I'd prefer to see good structure on the weekly chart, some good base forming, a lot of work done, and then starting to lift on the weekly. And then I'd be happy if I saw this type of price action. But at the moment, it looks like we could just be lifting off that one, correcting this leg down, and then you don't really know where you're going. And we could just be up 1, 2, popping up to here, and then rolling over. Does that make sense? So it's the context of what we're looking at here. Okay, this doesn't look too bad, but in context of what's happening on the weekly, it's a different story. Just checking who's giving me a call. Right, does that make sense there on that one? So what was the other one? NS Galaxy. Galaxy's, I don't like this price action. I'm not a big fan, because we've always spoken about this, your secondary leg lower, just to clean out a few more traders. So it's pretty clear here. We've had this, pullback. We started to build, hold levels, and we started to rally up, holding higher lows, keeping trend, bang. We only broke trend with this move down. We broke through this level at around 340. That was your anchor. Even with this push up, we pulled back. We pushed that through the highs. It doesn't matter. We still can come back and retest. That's still holding that anchor level. We popped up. We got up to, say, 450. That trend was still intact up until it broke this on the daily. That through that 350. There's nothing to say we pop up, we pull back, hit this, hold a high low, and then go again and go straight up through 450. There's nothing to say we can't do that. But the fact that it's gone straight through it, it leads me to be a bit more bearish on Galaxy. And the fact that we popped up, we pulled back, we're sort of stuck at the moment. There's nothing to say we can't hold up above 280 and start to build, but we're also capped around that 350 zone. So for me, I have no reason to buy this just yet. If we say we've got two zones like that, it's sort of an each way bet. If we push down, we pushed up, we pushed down, we're sort of about here now. So for me, there could be two ways. We could just start bang, and we can just drop out of the sky and have that secondary leg lower, 1, 2, and that could take us all the way back down here again, $2, give or take. Or we get this type of price action where you just pop through and then start to pull back and then hold. And then you get more buyers stepping in. We're building a higher low. Okay, then it looks like it's on. It's held this 285 zone. But right here, we could just consolidate between these two, just range trade. We don't know what's going to happen just yet. All right, so for me, I haven't got any indication which way the market's biased or starting to get biased or it's starting to build. I don't like this type of scenario. I'm sort of looking at more of this, or even just being range trading, because you see this move up with stochastics. It's taken a bit of effort. Last time we were overbought, we got to 350. We're getting overbought again. We're getting overcooked on the upside, and we're coming right into that resistance zone without really a correction. So we could easily just bounce between those two levels. But you'd want to see a break and then potentially a higher low, or what you wouldn't want to see if you've bought it is this back off from this level, try to go again, but build the lower high. You wouldn't want to see that. Then otherwise, I'd just be bailing if you're long. I mean, that's my scenario. Yeah, that's just looking at the chart. That's from the daily. So that's why I don't like the daily so much. I mean, the weekly could be showing a slightly different story. I mean, on the weekly, it's pretty clear. you've got a key level right down at 150. So this leg can easily contract lower down to 250, say, and still hold the weekly trend up. And that would probably marry in well. We'll just draw this with, this sort of scenario. It could easily pull back to 250, contract. And you can see it has a good leg up, has these good swings, big move up, maybe hold, come back down, and then start again, and then start to reset somewhere around 225, 250. It could easily do that. All right, so right at the moment, I'm not too keen on it. It is overcooked. I mean, that's probably the one thing working in its favour is it's a bit overcooked to the downside. There's been some quite heavy selling pressure from 450 down here, so it could hold up. It could just range trade, like I said. So I'm not biased either way, just on this one at the moment. SFH, SFA. All right. Oh, what do we got here? Straight away, looking at this, doesn't look good. This looks, it's coming into a zone. You can see the pressure. This is well and truly selling pressure. It's gone from oversold to overbought. Quite a bit of effort to push it up. The buyers have given it a really good nudge. Can't get anywhere near these highs. It's basically a 50% retracement, a pullback of this move down, which would lead you to believe that there's another leg down in store. This is just, I mean, you probably don't really need to draw anything up here. This is pretty clear on the daily. You can see here, it got overbought on the upside, didn't get anywhere. Tried to consolidate through here. It kept, every time it got overbought, the buyers started to give it a good nudge. It just only really come up to a resistance zone through here. So below that 70. Here gave a good nudge up here, and it couldn't even get up there. It got to 65. So it fell short of that resistance zone, say through 70, 65 to 70. That's your lower high. They gave it a good effort, the buyers, and then bang, they just gave up. So anyone that's probably been buying it through here, you can see it's going to get jack of it sooner or later. You're just going to get sick of holding it, especially if your idea is that this is going to hold up. Maybe bad news triggered that lower. Who knows? But either way, that started to clean out a lot of these buyers that bought it through here. So you've had sort of from the left to right consolidation through 2014 on the weekly or the daily. On the weekly. So it's looking rubbish. On the weekly, it's not looking good. We'll go to the daily in a second. So you've had consolidation through here, say around give or take just below $1, between 80 and $1. Consolidation through here, big sell-off. Consolidation, another 20 cent consolidation, then big sell-off. So you probably find that these legs down are quite matched. Then we've had this good reaction up. All right, nice little reaction up, bit of selling pressure, but it really can't get too far. It's probably not even, it's probably around a 50% retracement of that move down. It is, I mean, obviously you're lucky with stocks, they can only go to zero. And if it's still running, I mean, if something bad's happening here and we don't know about, and people are just slowly edging out of it, and whoever's going to get caught holding the bag, you don't know what's happening with the fundamental side. I don't know. I'm just looking at it thinking I wouldn't buy it at all. Off that weekly, wouldn't touch it. Yeah, it's got to do it from this weekly. It's got to do a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work, and you just start hearing some good news coming through, some good news flow, probably some good. I don't know, whatever they say. They can say whatever they want. If it's positive and it starts attracting some buying, and then you can see it holding up above 10, it starts maybe retesting down towards there, maybe a lot of consolidation. Then it starts edging out to the top side, maybe pull back, build a higher low. It's got a lot of work to do either way for me. And you can see even on the daily, so it's overcooked on the weekly and it's overcooked on the daily up here. So pretty much if it starts pushing down and building a lower high from here, it's probably got still a few days in it. So I guess what I'm trying to say, I wouldn't touch it on the buy side from the daily. There's no reason for me to touch this to buy it on the daily or from the weekly. I'd be edge on the sell side. I'd be looking more at a trade on the sell side than anything else. That's just me. So keep an eye on it anyway. Who else? Brent. What's your thoughts on this one then, Brent? Anyway, let me know. I hope I didn't step on anyone's toes. But yeah, that there, she's holding some highlight. This is contraction of that longer term move down. So if that's going to run out of steam, which it looks like it could do soon, I mean, this could just be when it got overcooked here. You can see this overbought territory when it popped up here. Could just be a pullback, could be a pullback, when it could be completely wrong, could just keep going. But if this is going to turn on a dime from being oversold longer term to just turning on a dime once it hit 10 and just bouncing straight up from there, there's got to be some good fundamentals backing it. Some really good fundamentals that's just brought in some buying. But at the moment, from a technical perspective, yeah, I wouldn't go near it just at the moment. NST. Getting a bit of a bounce back on the XJO. I don't know if anyone saw the last chart we put up on the XJO. It was through Discord. I thought it might have been a bit extended to the downside, a bit of wash out of the lows and then build back up. And it's starting to look like, well, it is doing that at the moment. I'll just bring it up. It's worth chatting about. Where are we? So this is a 5-minute chart I put up on the chat. Oh, that was there. So you can see it's just that extension of that leg. So that's the leg down. It's contracted back up, found the lower high, extend that leg down, come into that zone below 59.10, and it took out a sort of a key level too, key support around that 59.22 or 3 on the ASX. So that's what's triggered that selling, that wave of selling, stops going off. So it'd be interesting. I don't know where it's at the moment. I don't have the charts up. It'll take me a while to open. It's starting to build back up. I think it's starting to build back up. It's probably somewhere around 59.20 anyway. So from here, whether we hold that low and start rolling over again and we get another sell, who knows? But I just like that we can easily extend that and start to build from here. It's going to take a long time, but we'll see if the ASX can hold up for today if we have seen the lows of the day, or whether we sell off later in the afternoon. Well, in about 15 minutes, an hour's time. All right, back to Northern Star. Do you have this one, Ryan? All right. All right. Let's get into this. I mean, on the daily, not much to talk about. It's going up. It's definitely going up. So from here, for me, this leg up's getting a bit extended. I'd rather see this sort of corrective pattern and then get your high low, something like this, and then buy into that if you're keen on buying it. Let's just mark that up. There's probably a couple of good entries in that. I'll see some good entries, potentially in here. You've got this move down. This one's a bit tougher. I don't really see anything clean. Maybe that for me would be an entry, but I don't like them just a little pullback and then go, because I keep thinking I'm going to get caught with a deeper correction to build a better high low like this. When it's sharp, pop up, breaks this downtrend, breaks out, builds a high low. When it comes out the other end of it, yeah, good entry there. Probably another, for my style anyway, a nice little entry there. So I'd want to see something like that if I was going to get into it. I think right where we are at the moment, getting a bit extended. You can see these legs up. That's what I'd rather be involved in. I don't want to be buying in towards the end of it. Well, I'm not saying I know whether the end is, but okay, I'll get that up, Helen. Well, look, it's still long. If you're long from around here, great. I don't think from the daily there's any reason to get out of it. To be honest, there's nothing for me when we've had this little pop down from 675, say, this little red candle, but it's bouncing back. Depends if you've got, I think you said you had half off, Feb 22nd. Where was that? So you're probably actually you doing well, mate. All right. So where'd you buy it at there, Ryan? Can you tell me? Is it buy it back here? I mean, if you bought it somewhere in here, awesome. That's great. Try to hold that half. It's up to you. If you just bought it after this correction, say you bought it in here, for example, and you've taken half off here, I'll be letting it ride. It'll probably be, potentially for me. Technically, you'd want to have your stop around that 620. That's the way I would do it because you had this leg up. You don't know how far it's going to go. See if you can hold that trend. If you can hold that trend up, actually, let's just go back a step. 605. Hang a sec. I'm getting confused now, I'm guessing. long from, oh, Feb 20 took half off. Okay, so you got long here, you didn't take half off. That's good. I mean, that's nice. But it turned out probably for me, I would have waited to see these expansion candles on the way up, confirmation that we're actually building that high low. But either way, it was a good little entry. Did you say you've taken half? I'm still long from half. Took half off leading the rest runs. Looks strong to me. Okay. Quiet. Say hello. Okay, that's enough. Oh, just all right. Just 1 second, you guys. There we go. Does that look good? Yeah. Off you go. All right. So yeah. So at the moment we look like we're on this leg up. We're on the way up. Where if we could be edging towards those highs, we could take it out. We've had this little pullback, so if we just go bang up, okay, then raise your stop. I would be raising my exit there. Just 1 second. Sorry guys, just 1 tick there. Just 1 second. Sorry guys, we had an emergency. So what I was saying with this one, it's good that you got in there. You've taken half off. You've taken a bit of an exit. That's great. This leg could still have more in it. We don't know where it's going to go. Like I said, at the moment, you've had a push up, a red day, and we started to take off again. So within this leg, this one leg up, you're just looking for those minor pullbacks. And if we take out that sort of 675 zone, then I'd be happy to move my stop up. At the moment, I'm sort of looking down towards that level because it could just bounce around here and then pop again. We don't know. But yeah, if it gets overcooked, it's just looking at the weekly to see where it could be going to. And it's in clear skies, so this trend could just keep going. It's a nice trade actually. I mean, even the weekly's getting overcooked up here, so that's why I'd be happy to look. Completely up to you. I don't want to sway anyone anyway, but my style of trading, I'd probably even raise my stop to 640 because I think if we're getting overcooked on the weekly and the daily, you got to question yourself how many more buyers out there when gold's not actually heading higher. How many buyers out there we still got? I don't know the fundamentals of Northern Star, but how many more buyers we got out there to keep jumping in this stock to keep pushing it higher, to continue it on to new highs. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the fact that we've got this little red candle here, that's your first sort of sign. Maybe this leg's getting a bit extended. It's getting maybe a bit long in the tooth. Because every now and then you've got to remember if it's within the previous high, like you've got this type of entry just in here, and it starts. You've got a lot of room to move on the upside because you've got the weekly in your back, the daily starting to go up. There's a lot of fat in that trade, but when you get to sort of this move up to here, you've taken out the previous high, like we have here. We've taken out that high. Once you take that, you've got to start questioning how much more have you got left in this trade, in this move up, before it has a correction, because you never know how far that correction is going to go. You never know how deep it's going to go. You never know what's going to trigger it lower. I mean, it could just pull back in line to this long, if you go back to the weekly, this long weekly trend here, pull back, but then it gives you another opportunity anyway. You could potentially get another opportunity from the daily charts if it does have a complex correction on the weekly. I hope that makes sense. I'm even confusing myself. Uh, when I talked about it, Ryan, EVN, EVN. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, they're going nice. The only real thing I've had an issue with these gold stocks is that they've gone parabolic, gone up, good correction, and then just from this sort of V-shaped recovery, I like to see sort of a retest closer to the lows and start building. Instead, they've just been grinding higher. Not with a lot of conviction, but they've been going up quite nicely. I mean, this could start, look at the weekly here, probably did the same thing here, then it started getting out of hand to the upside. This EVN could take out this high next week or so. $3 straight into new all-time highs. I think it's all-time highs, is it? No, that was the all-time high, 346. So we've still got a bit of way to go. Yeah, it's got a. That one's still heading higher, isn't it? What else we got? GOR's one I've been looking at. This is the kind of price action I like. It's more from the weekly. Yeah, that's exactly what I reckon, Helen. I'm guessing you're talking about those. That's what I like them. But for my style of trading, what I like to see, I didn't like that price action as much. So this one's, obviously going higher. It's got a bit ahead of itself with this push up here, and it's had to do more of a complex correction, back down, popped up, built your lower high, took out these lows, not far, didn't have to go too far really, and then started lifting again. You got this push up to the highs, pull back. So it's definitely holding higher lows, and you can see through here it's holding higher lows. Bit of a washout there, and it started to lift recently, just popped up. So that weekly's looking good. So if we're going down to the daily, just to see what sort of price action, and this, especially when you get so close to the highs, there's going to be buy stops above that into new highs, and that's probably what that couple of weeks, couple of strong weeks, bang straight through and just took out. So triggered a few buys through here, and then again probably a small 75, 77 just through the highs there, and that's probably where you've got this little spike up. Maybe we're having a deeper correction. Who knows? We could bit of a reversion back to the mean, maybe come back into that 75 zone. But the weekly's looking great. It's the daily too. Couple that with the daily chart. Um, I do like that daily chart. This is GOR. It's probably one thing I don't like is obviously you can see here. Whoop, I'll draw my arrow. There you go. You can see that it's getting a bit overcooked. So even up here, it's getting a bit overcooked, which leads me to believe that 76 could be under attack. And we're just sort of around that 82. We're finding a bit of resistance up there. It's had this push up to 82 before we backed off. Some good buying. It didn't, not very strong selling pressure. The selling pressure wasn't very strong, and it held up pretty much, above around 77. Held a higher low. We're back up to there, and we're getting a bit overcooked again up here. So that's why I'm sort of thinking we could back off. We may only just back off, hold this little trend up, back off to say 80, and then boom, straight through. Or if we take out that sort of level, then what I wouldn't want to see from here is that lower high, because then I think we have this secondary move down, which really, in essence, is not going to take us too far. I'd expect it to be somewhere around that 77, 73 mark. Does that make sense? Gold's RSG. We'll take a look at that. That's what we've got. So at the moment, there's this. I don't mind the old gold row. We've had some good trades in this in the past. Basically, when we first started that trade setup for a year or so ago, it was going really nice. We got the good run up. It hasn't done a lot since, but we got more of what was it? I think this sort of price action when it kicked up. What was it 2016? So it was here. We started getting this run up here. Didn't get anything there. I don't know if we traded it through 2017, but it's been good. Yeah, could be good. I would like it to see it probably pop down to 80, and then if it starts lifting again, because if it starts lifting from here, anyone that's been waiting to buy it on a deeper correction is probably going to get caught out on the wrong side, and they may be just chasing it up. That's what I'd like to see, and if we can get that acceleration, great. If we start to fall short, because I think if we pull back to 80 and start popping back up again, I think we're going to take out this high. I'm probably still drawn up. We're going to take out that 82, which is not really that much further to smash through 84, 85 onto new highs, and then your risk reward is pretty good. And then just have to see what happens from there. Obviously, you take off some pretty quick. If we get this deeper correction, then you've really just got to wait and see if we can get this top of price action to start building again, and then potentially start of a new good leg up, like this top pricing potentially through here. But I wouldn't want to get caught in all this rubbish either. At the same token, so look, we'll see. It's one to watch. What was the other one you said? RSG. Right, let's have a quick look at that one. That's the daily. It's the weekly that I like on this one. The daily's not as good. It's probably, look, this one could have been a bit preemptive. I don't know. What I do like though, if we can draw that up. Right, we've had a good run up. This is a good washout. And it's probably, eyeballing that, it's probably around 50%, isn't it? No, it's more than that. It's probably at 55, 60% retracement of that move up. So it's flushed out a lot of traders. You can sort of say it's flushed out a lot of these traders in the last section of that move. If anyone's holding that, if they bought it in here, great. It's sort of been break even for quite a while now. They've seen the profits back into profit, back into losses, then it's just oscillating around. But what we're doing that whole time is just really clearing the way in my mind. So we pull back, that's your key low, that's sort of your line in the sand at the moment. We've popped up, we've contracted, but even the savagery of that move down is starting to get contained. You can see that the moves down are starting to get a bit more contained. And then this is the first time on a weekly chart when we pulled back and built a higher low. Okay, and then we've just popped out through that level. So we've got our higher low on the weekly. It could get up as far as 130 and then run out of steam a bit and maybe react off that level. The stochastics, this type of move down through here and build the high low, it could easily start accelerating and take out 130 in one foul swoop. You might get to, we might just pop through and then start to contract a bit longer term and then build, for a nice strong leg up. And then obviously your key level is going to be around that 190 and then up to 230 on the way up. I mean, that's a long way away. But yeah, I just like the fact that on the weekly chart, we've just got that higher low build and it's confirmed. We got that push through 120, about 120, I think. So if we go to the daily, that's it there. So it's sort of around that 120, 121, pull back, clean out a few of these buyers in here, held the high low, started holding inside high lows as well, and we accelerated through. We've just contracted off there. So I'm viewing this now just to see if we can hold up around that 120, 119, 120. It looks like it's going to, and then start building again. If we can get up through that 126, these highs, what was that, 126 and a half, then I think we're going to I would expect it to just blow through 130, but we'll see. Either way, for me, I'm not going to be risking too much on this. If we struggle around here, I could be just looking to move my risk up, but I'll just have to reassess it as we go. Because really, this could easily, just draw it up, just this last section. We could easily pull back from here, pop up, pull back to 115, 116, and then start to build, still hold this leg up, this trend up. So if you have your stop too close up here, you can get washed out and it can turn around. You can be completely right and start to kick up again and take out this high, take out 130, and on she goes. And you've been left on the sidelines as you get squeezed out of the market. So that's why you're still giving it a bit of room to move. I can't remember where we got our stop. Let me just see. 105, so we're down here. Got a lot of room, really. I might actually lift that just to see. We're at 121, so I'll probably be lifting that stop soon. I'll just keep an eye on it. But I think if we can get through this green cat, this high back at 123, we start picking up from here, I think that's going to kick straight up. And just get that little run on and really squeeze out some of these sellers or drag in a few buyers that have been watching it through here and missed the boat, thinking that it's going to pull back, retest these lows, retest around $1. If they haven't bought in here and they see it start to lift, they'll probably be chasing it back up again. All right, we'll probably leave it there, guys. I hope that all makes sense. Any questions? Yeah, feel free to send through an email or even jump on Discord. Anyone that's not on there, just jump on Discord and we can have a chat through there. I'm slowly figuring out how to talk on it. I think I was talking with Helen the other day. Actually, no, I was trying to get Helen to get a headset so we can have a bit of a chat because I can share screens. So we may start to look at a few things through Discord, but we'll just see how it goes. I think you can only have 9 people at one hit. But just to see how that goes, I'm just still trying to work it out. But yeah, jump on the Discord if you've got a question. We can always, I'll see it eventually and then just chuck in an answer if we can. Or Helen's there. Got a few other guys there that do well. They can even answer as well, give their opinions. It's always good to get not just one opinion, but everyone's opinion. You start to formulate your own trading style that suits you. All right. Probably call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much. 5922. Oh, creeping back. We are creeping back. And I've missed the boat. All right. I can see an entry that would have suited my sort of a style. And I was up through 14. If you can get an ASX chart, you can probably see it just in here. That I do like that. You can see it's just holding. If I can draw that up there, this sort of style through here. Whoop. Nice little entry there. You've got these high lows pushing up, squeezed them out, and then we've got, say a 14 entry to where we are 26. So that's going nicely at the moment. But yeah, missed that. Bugger. It happens. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll speak to you, what are we, next Monday? Enjoy your weekend. Cheers, guys. Bye.